Welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman, the podcast dedicated to helping you build the business of your dreams and live the life you always hoped for, with valuable and fun tips and info to make your life easier and more fun. And now, here's your host, a man who sprinkles metal shavings on his breakfast cereal just for fun, Jason Silverman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. I'm your host, Jason Silverman, and I'm thrilled to share some time with you today. As you know, I'm always on the hunt for interesting as well as super smart real deal guests. And I got to tell you, today's show is going to be a winner. I want to introduce my listeners to somebody who's truly been there and done that and is continuing to do that. So I'm excited to pick his brain for your benefit today. And quite honestly, I'm going to pick his brain a lot for my benefit. So hope you guys are ready to take some notes. Now, for the folks who I work with in any of my coaching programs, my mastermind group, or through Powerful Words Character Development, All-Star Cheer sites, or the Jason's Army Mastermind, you know how much I focus on the importance of sales presentation systems, correct? Well, this show is going to help us to do just that. So today it's going to be my honor and privilege to share an amazing resource with you. You're going to love today's guest. He's got a ton of valuable info about what I consider to be a super hot topic to help you succeed. And he's also got a really cool way to deliver it. So strap yourself in. Today's show is going to be a blast. As I'm sure you already know, I'm committed to helping business owners just like you to become more successful, enjoy your career more, and in general, make life significantly more fun. We only get one ride on this merry-go-round, folks, so let's make sure it's one hell of a ride. Alrighty, boys and girls, it is now that time to stop surfing Facebook, put away your phone, your tablet, your dog, your cat, your spouse, your significant other, anything that might possibly distract you from today's show. You're about to get some immediately, awesomely, superly helpful, implementable information, and I don't want you to miss even a second of it. So before we officially get going, let me give you a little bit of background about our special guest expert today. Frank DeBenedetto spent the past 2 decades passionately helping business owners navigate the complex world of technology. He's the president and chief technology advisor of Two River Technology Group, a technology solutions provider located in Shrewsbury, New Jersey. He's also the mastermind behind the Audit Sales Presentation System, a sales tool designed to elevate the quality of IT solutions delivered to small and mid-sized businesses and to help MSPs sell higher value IT solutions. His genuine interest in helping businesses and his no-nonsense approach to explaining challenging technology concepts in plain English, thank God, have helped him grow his business into one of the premier cloud service providers in the state. Frank has been quoted in many publications and is a regular contributor to several blogs, podcasts, and newspapers. He frequently speaks at seminars and webinars on current trends in technology, and he's co-author of a book that shares practical advice on technology to the small business owner. Frank, welcome to The Real Deal. I'm thrilled to have you today.
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me here.
Pleasure is mine. So, listen, before we get started, for those who haven't had the opportunity and pleasure of meeting you or hearing you speak or reading your book, take a second, share your story with our listeners. What are you passionate about? What makes you tick? Who is Frank?
So, first and foremost, I'm a dad to a 7-year-old girl. Her name's Evangeline Sophia. So that's what makes me tick these days. Everything I do is really centered around her, and she teaches me everything daily. Outside of doing that, what makes me tick is definitely technology. I've been doing this for a long time. Came out of Rutgers University with a degree in mechanical engineering, and I just taught myself that I did not want to be an engineer, but I love the discipline. And so I applied myself in the IT world, and back then things were changing pretty quickly. So I immersed myself on the financial services side of things, quickly started a consulting company, and we went from there. So it's really technology is my driving passion here. And, these days there's no shortage of it. There's so much cool stuff coming out there that helps the small business owner. So I like to kind of pair that up and be able to deliver that.
Well, I also feel like it's changing by the hour. So it's nice to actually have somebody help navigate all this.
Yeah, we kind of act like a translator for a lot of our clients with the new technology. So the great part is we get to play with it first, and then we kind of get to deliver it and get paid for that. So it's a fun position to be in sometimes.
Oh, no doubt. So I've got a question, and I'm actually going to kind of shift it a little bit so that everybody listening to this podcast can benefit. So selfishly speaking, because as you know, I do own a web firm and a technology firm and everything. So my initial question was, why shouldn't we try to sell IT solutions based on just raw data and logic? But I'm going to ask you to go a step deeper and conceptualize this. So just as far as selling is concerned, why shouldn't you basically just sell the thing?
Yeah, so, one of the things that I've always found is a lot of people are a solution looking for a problem, right? So they get something that they know is good from a vendor, or maybe they've used that themselves, and they just start looking around where they can apply that in every instance. And what they forget is that we, in the IT world especially, we're cursed with the gift of knowledge, right? So we know a whole lot more than the people that we're trying to sell to. So that information sort of blinds us. We when we're selling just on the raw numbers and the logic, we forget really what the what the end user is looking for. So I think it's you need to step back and really evaluate the situation a little bit differently and listen to what the pain points are, and then try to work your way back up to that solution. So I think that's kind of what makes the most sense.
No doubt. So, just from raw data and logic, just psychologically speaking, that actually starts to send me into a snooze fest.
Sure.
So are you finding, though, that it's been your experience folks out there are simply trying to say, well, this is the fact, therefore you should buy it?
So if you step back to one of my overarching why I'm even in business is, I want to elevate the quality of IT for the small to mid-sized marketplace. And there's no shortage of IT companies out there and a lot of really smart individuals. However, a lot of times when I go into offices, what I find is poor. And I always think to myself, it's not because the solutions don't exist. And I found that I think it's because a lot of times people have difficulty selling. So they sell only what the prospect will purchase or the business owner will purchase. And many times because they don't communicate properly. So that logic and data selling doesn't translate oftentimes to the end user. And then they may not want to buy things such as a firewall or, other stuff that may not be glamorous, but is good for their business. So we started to look at that, and we shifted our focus. We said, let's not start talking tech at all. Let's just really, help evaluate where a business owner is at today, and then let them see, maybe, where they're at, what they're not getting, or what they think they're getting, what they're paying for, and then show deficiencies.
It makes a ton of sense. Really, really does. And I would assume the response on that is dramatically different.
Yeah, it's way different. When you go in, basically with the idea that you're going to just show a proposal and defend that, it's a much steeper slope to traverse. I think that if we go in and we say, hey, before we even show anything, let's just evaluate where we are today and really help you understand it in business terms, that's way more helpful, because now the business owner wants to know, hey, what do we do? What do we do from here? And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm glad you asked, because I actually have a proposal now that I can show you. So you're filling a need for them, as opposed to trying to force feed, some type of solution that they're not sure that they need.
That makes a lot of sense. That totally makes a lot of sense. So tell me this, because I know this is something that we've played with in the past. How do you, I hate using the word convince, but how do you actually help prospects understand the value that the cloud is really the way to go, even when the price tag's higher? And again, conceptually speaking, this goes for every single service out there. So how do you leverage it specifically in IT? And then I guess we can work backwards from there.
Yeah, so, this goes back to just traditional selling where, if your solution is higher and you don't build value, then you're going to be compared solely based on price. And then if you're not the cheapest solution, you're not going to win. So that was something that I saw in the early days in what we did with what's called managed services. Our solutions maybe weren't the cheapest on the block, but we thought they were the best. And then certainly cloud tends to be a little more expensive because you're automatically getting enterprise class solutions. You don't have the luxury of saying, hey, can you put me in a data center that's not quite as secure, or maybe don't back up our data? You're automatically getting what the highest level that you could get. So I think that when we look at these solutions, again, we need to show value up front. We have to show people where they're at today. And the best example I can give you, if we were to go in and evaluate a customer or a prospect that might be spending $1,000 a month, and we did some sort of analysis and we showed them that, they were deficient in a lot of different areas, we can prove that they're not getting what they're paying for. And then we can, then they're all ears. They want to know, well, what can we do next? So, that helps us sell cloud. The other thing that helped as well was, unfortunately for most, it was the hurricane that happened several years ago, and it exposed a flaw in managed services, which was really business continuity, right? So even though we did a great job at managing the hardware and backing things up, what happens when we simply just don't have electricity? It's something we all take for granted until Hurricane Sandy hit in New Jersey. And many of our clients were without power for days, if not, a week or more. And at that point, it exposed the flaw. And that flaw was, hey, you're paying a certain amount of money. However, we're not covering all these things. And suddenly they begged for more. They said, we want business continuity. And even though it was more expensive, it was something they're willing to pay more money for. So we learned that lesson. That was kind of forced. It was fortuitous for us, but we learned the lesson that, we need to show people before there's a need, right, that there's a potential hole here. And if we do it properly, then they will spend more money to plug that hole.
Makes a lot of sense. And just on a personal level, after living through Sandy here in Jersey as well, that wasn't fun. So been there, done that, and quite honestly, just doesn't matter what it costs.
Yeah, I mean, if it's for your business, if you can't run your business and you're at the risk of going out of business or losing clients, there's certainly an upper limit, but it's usually more than what they're currently paying today.
Makes sense. So, you started to address this, but, how do you find the best way, or what have you found to be the best way to get prospects thinking about their business needs, really their needs, and not just, the cost, as far as that last number on the bottom of the proposal?
Sure. So, I think first and foremost, you have to listen to what your customers want. I mean, they're usually going to tell you what their initial concerns are, and you can't overlook that or glaze that over. You have to pay attention first. And then what we do from there is we kind of expand. So we like to do it in a dialogue fashion where we encourage discussion about certain issues. And so we'll bring these up. I mean, we know they're deficient, and we can show that on a report, but we talk about those types of things. Say, well, what happens in this scenario? Are you concerned about this? And we often get them thinking about things that maybe they weren't thinking about initially. And then, once they realize there's a need for these things, then, providing the proposal is really just a means to an end. Many times what we're trying to do is just drive the wedge in there too, because we're trying to show them that maybe their current IT provider is not getting the job done for them. And so we kind of, without bad-mouthing anybody, we kind of, put a little bit of doubt in their mind, and then hopefully we get the client, and then we can work with them and build that relationship and get them to where they need to be over time.
Understood. So you're basically helping to set the you're really setting the you're setting how exactly they're going to choose who they're going to give their dollars to.
Exactly. We're trying to frame this for them so they see a path with us that maybe they don't see what they're currently doing today. And then, once they become our client, then we can keep them on that path and, continue to drive towards the solutions that they should have in place.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, I know that you wrote a chapter for the book Easy Pray, correct?
Correct.
Do me a favor. Share a little bit about what you were talking about, because I think it's going to be really, really relevant to my listeners. What's the book about, and, what was your piece of it?
Sure. So, I was approached to contribute to the book Easy Prey, which is all about cybersecurity and the crimes that, unfortunately are out there and that are aimed at, many small to mid-sized businesses. I was fortunate to be asked to write a chapter about cloud computing and how that in and of itself solves a lot of the concerns that we have from a cybersecurity standpoint. So, the most basic summary I can give is, by moving things to the cloud and getting a lot of those resources outside of a small to mid-sized business, you're automatically picking up enterprise class services. So you're gaining in physical security. You know, in the good old days, people used to keep the server in the hallway or the unlocked office on the floor. You know, now your stuff's in a data center. Backups are typically poor in the small to mid-size, business. Unfortunately, even though there's great solutions available, most people forget to back up, and they only learn that after the fact. Well, when we move you to the cloud and you're in a data center, you can be certain that it's getting backed up every evening. Business continuity, right? We talked about power. What happens if the power's out? Maybe it's not a hurricane, but, you know, somebody hits the telephone pole. So automatically by moving that out to the cloud, you've got some great business continuity. So basically, you know, the chapter is about how, you know, moving stuff up to the cloud just increases your security, and on an infinite, number, and also just gives you some great business continuity. So all in all, it's a good direction to go, and it's certainly where the world is headed.
Fabulous. I remember reading, it's been 10 years ago, I remember when the book Google Bomb came out. Scared the bejesus out of me about what could be done reputation-wise. It sounds like Easy Prey is the next most important read as far as understanding what the potential damages are out there.
Yeah, I mean, the crimes are unbelievable. I mean, the one that probably has gained the most press as of late are the ransomware type viruses. You know, the good old days viruses used to attack somebody's computer, maybe wipe the computer out, or, you know, put some weird message up there. But when you look at what happens today, you know, they're not interested in damaging your computer. What they're interested in is holding your personal data for ransom. And they charge just enough to the point where you'll likely pay it, and that they'll make plenty of money. And it's unreal. They basically hold you ransom, and you have to use bitcoins, which is essentially like untraceable currency, electronic currency, and then they give you the decryption key. They have their own help desk. It's really sad. But what's crazy is there was a lot of articles in the news how police stations and some banks and some hospitals they paid the ransom, which is scary because you would think that they would have their security in place, but it just goes to show you that if they don't, it's likely a lot of other small businesses don't either. So
wow, that's frightening on every level.
Yeah,
it really,
absolutely
really is. All right, it is time for our resource of the week. So tell me this. What's the best place for my listeners to get out there and find out more about you and find out more about how you and your firms go about helping entrepreneurs to be more successful and be safer?
Sure. So Two River Technology Group, we're available at www.tworivertech.com. It's TWO spelled out. And we're a full services IT managed services company, cloud services. Audit for IT, that's the sales presentation tool that you briefly mentioned earlier. That's aimed more towards my IT peers. It's a tool we developed to help elevate the quality of IT to the small business marketplace. That's at www.auditforit.com. And you can certainly check out the book that I wrote the chapter for, Easy Prey. That's available on Amazon.
Do me a favor, just because I want to learn more about this. Tell me what audit is. Like, what does it do? Like, how? Just explain it, like, in as easiest English as you possibly can.
Sure. So we talked a lot about presenting the results of any kind of technical analysis back to a small business owner. The challenge is, of course, we're showing them too much data and logic, which they don't understand, and then we put a proposal in front of their face, which ultimately is judged only based on price. What Audit Sales Presentation Tool allows other IT professionals to do is to take all the data that you've gathered, no matter how you've gathered it, through traditional fact-finding or running other, technology data gathering tools. It allows you to take all that information and summarize it into a really simple, what we call audit report. And it allows you to present this at the level that a business owner can understand. It forces you to deliver it in summary statements, bottom line statements, and it's color coded, which has a really cool emotional effect. People love to see green and not so much red, yellow. So it really helps us keep on track. And the IT companies that are using it have been reporting amazing results when using it, and they're definitely able to deliver the right solutions to small to mid-sized businesses.
Makes sense. How long has this been on the planet for?
So I've been using it at Two River Tech for about a year and a half. It's something that I developed for myself. I had no intention of actually selling it until some of my peers saw it and asked me where I'd gotten that. And I told them I developed it, and they asked me if they could use it. And I realized there was a need out there beyond just for myself. So we put it out there probably about a year ago in beta, and we've been live selling to the public for about 5 months now.
Wow, well, fabulous. I know that there's been some great growth, and I wish you much more of it. That's good stuff.
Thanks so much.
My pleasure. All right, so I always like to end my podcast with one important question. So if you could give business owners just one solid piece of advice to either help their business or, more importantly, to help them live a better life, what would that piece of advice be?
Since I'm an IT guy at heart, I would have to say is make sure that you have a relationship with a good IT services provider, because it's not very expensive to do things properly in your business. Making the wrong decision could unfortunately put you in a very compromised position from an IT perspective. So I think developing a good relationship with somebody and staying with them is important.
Sounds like a plan. Frank, thank you so much for joining me today. I know how busy your schedule is, and it means the world to me that you'd share some of your time and your wisdom with us.
Sure, Jason. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, that is all the time we've got today. Thanks so much for tuning into The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. For more info about private coaching or to see if you benefit from one of my mastermind groups, visit me over at www.jasonmsilverman.com. I look forward to helping you achieve the success that you truly deserve. Until next time, let me leave you with this. Get out there and be the real deal. Set a goal, make a plan, work like hell towards it, and achieve the success that's waiting for you. Now's the time. Get out there and make it happen. Go get them. This has been Jason Silverman, and I hope you have a spectacular week.
You've been listening to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. To access the great resources mentioned in the show and for information on coaching and mastermind group opportunities with Jason, please visit jasonmsilverman.com.